What's up guys, it's me Jeremy. So the WARWICK rework is due to be released on the live servers in the near future, so I wanted to, take a look, maybe go over some facts and some other cool things that I thought that we found some information about WARWICK's rework, such as well, his previous rework attempt that actually got scrapped, which is actually why the WARWICK rework took so long in the first place. And so if you guys enjoyed the video, definitely hit that like button, and if you don't enjoy the video, feel free to hit that dislike button too, and let's get started. This video is sponsored by RapidX Gaming Chairs. We're doing a giveaway with them where we'll be giving away a free chair and a ton of other stuff as well, and it's super easy to enter. All you have to do is just check the Gleam link in the description below, and the winners are going to be announced later on Twitter. So the production time on Champion reworks is usually pretty short, usually around 6 to 8 months or so, sometimes 9 months if there's some delays or experimentation problems. But WARWICK's rework has actually technically been in development since about late 2013, making it the longest development cycle for a rework in the history of League of Legends so far. Daniel Klein, aka Riot Xenon, had actually started with the WARWICK rework a long time ago, and at the time he had a pretty decent kit put together. It was definitely, fully fleshed out, something that they were playtesting, and that version of the rework actually got iceboxed because Riot needed Daniel Klein to get to work on a new champion instead, which at the time was Azir, which was just, a higher priority for release than the WARWICK rework. This was back when Riot was making loads of champions, and so they were just trying to meet deadlines and all sorts of stuff, so they put the rework on hold, and it was around this time that Riot actually started their dedicated rework team, and they decided that the level of the rework that WARWICK deserved was actually a lot higher. For example, the Sion rework was just a massive undertaking, an update on release, and Riot wanted WARWICK to have something that they could be just as excited about as the Sion rework, instead of, just some semi-decent kit that was kind of just thrown together. And Daniel Klein originally had been working on WARWICK's result between two other projects, the Xerath rework and Azir, meaning that he just didn't really have the time or the resources required to fully redesign WARWICK from the ground up. The reworks team had their own priorities as well, such as the massive Sion update of course, and even some of these smaller changes like Soraka, Tristana, and Victor are pretty solid examples of how much more serious reworks are now than they were in the past. And despite being iceboxed, WARWICK's rework was delayed to make way for Poppy and Ryze following the release of Sion, but they definitely wanted to make sure that he had something on a similar scale once they finally took him out of that icebox and reignited his development. And so as a result, the WARWICK rework has technically kind of been in development for over 3 years now. Now, of course, during those entire 3 years it wasn't being worked on, but the development did start 3 years ago. And fun fact, once Urgot releases, he's probably going to end up taking the crown of the longest rework development cycle, but for now, WARWICK's going to be the champion holding that title. Now, you might also be curious what the first attempt at the WARWICK rework looked like before it was iceboxed, and we do have some of the scrapped abilities that didn't make it into WARWICK's kit from the original Daniel Klein rework. And most of the information Daniel shared was on Reddit like way back in the day, and focused mainly on his Q and E. So his new Q was called Hungering Strikes, but it changed from the original spell to being a double attack ability, kind of like Master Yi's passive proc. Interestingly enough though, it didn't deal any AD on the attacks even though the attack is delivered through basic attacks. Instead, the ability actually dealt magic damage and procced on hit effects twice, and it was quite spammable with a very low cooldown and a lower mana cost. The spell was designed to be a really good way for WARWICK to heal, as his passive during this rework, at the time, would deal 2% of the target's maximum HP and heal WARWICK for 5 plus 1.8% of his bonus HP. The passive could seriously ramp up on the healing as well, as every time it was triggered it would give WARWICK a stack of like a buff that would further amplify his healing. Essentially, in short fights, WARWICK wouldn't necessarily heal all that much, but he kind of had like a fervor of battle passive almost on his passive auto attacks, and as the fight went on, he would become an insane drain tank and just, do tons of maximum percent HP damage and heal with the on-hit effect. And combined with the new Q, since it would proc the on-hit effect twice, it would really set WARWICK up to build up those stacks and heal up quite quickly and reach a point where he was a monster in even just a minor skirmish. And the different E ability from Daniel Klein's initial attempt at the WARWICK rework was known as kind of like a boomerang ability almost, and it went by the name of Blood Scent and Hamstring. Passively, it had the same blood scent effect from the pre-rework WARWICK, allowing him to track low health targets and also big monsters to allow him to effectively counter jungle. The active part of the effect was Hamstring, and it was aimed to work as like a semi-gap closer kind of. You would jump to a target location and then he would immediately pounce back to where he started. Anyone he touches during the leap would be damaged and given a really big slow for a really short time. So if he tags someone with the slow, he would definitely be able to catch up with them, even though he jumps back to his original position. It was designed to combo really well with another one of his reworked abilities, which was on the W, known as Howl. Howl worked by terrifying enemies away from wherever WARWICK was stood when he activated the ability and would cause them to get feared. The idea is that you would use your Hamstring ability to jump behind an enemy and apply the slow, and then quickly use your Howl when you were behind them to knock them back towards your original position. That way enemy players caught in the Howl effect would be forced to walk towards your original position because they would be running away from where the Howl was triggered. It could also set things up for the WARWICK ultimate, which at the time on that rework was also turned into a skill shot that had a similar sort of mechanical function to that of Sejuani's Q ability. It worked in a similar way to the previous WARWICK ultimate, but instead of a suppress, it was a stun for the duration instead, and you had to land it on a target with the dash to get the stun and the damage. And if some of those abilities maybe sound familiar to you, that's because quite a few of them were actually kept as a part of WARWICK's current rework, even after he came back out of the icebox. So the fear ability on WARWICK's new E was originally the Howl ability on his W from Daniel Klein's rework back in the day, and making his ultimate a skill shot was another concept that was kept around for the release version. The main difference here is that Daniel Klein originally planned for WARWICK's R to be a more simple gap closer, but on release the dash distance is increased based on how much movement speed WARWICK has. And at top speed, this enables WARWICK to jump some truly just ridiculous distances, and he'll stick to the first enemy champion that he encounters, although of course you can still miss it or use it as an escape potentially if you really need to. Either way, both the AoE Fear and a Skill Shot Ultimate were first created for WARWICK way back in 2013-2014, so although they might have changed slightly, it's pretty cool to see that Daniel Klein was already on the right track when it comes to the direction that Riot eventually wanted to go with WARWICK's rework. And for the next thing that we're taking a look at, it's really just about the information of the design team behind the WARWICK rework. One thing that I always thought was kind of weird about the reworks with Riot is that they really kind of don't share as much information about the development process of the reworks themselves compared to actual champions that they release. But the WARWICK rework definitely has, the community interested thanks to both the awesome gameplay and honestly gotta say that sweet new art tied to it. And WARWICK was actually developed by the same team that worked on both the Tark and Rise visual updates, so it was no surprise that it ended up looking out pretty good. Certainly T was the head gameplay designer, who a lot of you guys might know as the mastermind behind Thresh, as well as the creator of Yasuo and a bunch of other champions back in the day, two champions that are definitely near the top of the food chain when it comes to picking really fun champions to play, at least on paper. Personally, I think certainly T is a fantastic designer. A lot of people probably disagree with me though, he's definitely one of the more controversial designers at Riot, but I definitely think he did a great job on the WARWICK rework overall. The concept artist was Larry Ray, aka the Bravo, who did an absolutely insane job with WARWICK's concept art. You can actually find a lot of this concept art on his DeviantArt page, which he posted. We're going to show on the screen right now. Definitely check it out, and honestly, it's just crazy how sick this stuff looks. There's quite a few iterations of what could have became WARWICK's poses or animations for fighting, which all look super badass, and Larry shared a lot of the concept art for Hyena WARWICK as well, which was a huge change from the original focus on something that looked a little bit more like a Road Warrior skin. Think maybe like WARWICK meets Mad Max or something like that. Instead of the Hex Tech on his back, he's instead powered by an engine, which is actually a pretty cool feature, and although it's a big change from the original Hyena WARWICK, it does look like a really solid skin update to go along with the gameplay rework. So it looks like that's just about going to wrap up all the cool facts that we were able to come up with for you guys today about the upcoming Warwick rework. You know, the kit's looking a lot more modern and his art is awesome, and it seems like Riot did a pretty awesome job with the rework overall, so I'm definitely excited for it, and hopefully it'll mean that Warwick will see a lot more play in the future. Definitely leave us your thoughts on the Warwick rework in the comment section below, and looks like that's going to be it for me. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like, subscribe if you want. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.